you senior member, you get to say go.
I'll play the role.
Or Johnny the dean.
Oh, he might be. Yes, I think he is.
Okay. Start. Everyone ready? Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. My name is Anson Tebbetts, and I'm with the Agency of Agriculture, Food, and Markets. Thanks for being here. The reason we're here is farmers in Vermont need help. They need it in Vermont. They need it in New York, New Hampshire, and across the country. And there's an important deadline that's coming up on Friday that may help some of our dairy farmers. And we're here to talk about that. And also the state, under the leadership of Governor Scott and the legislative leadership, particularly the agriculture committees and also the appropriations committees, have put in some state money to help. So to kick this off, I welcome Governor Scott.
Thank you, Anson. Good afternoon. We're all here because our dairy farmers need a little bit of help. So on June 1st, farmers in Vermont and across the nation face an important deadline. Farmers could receive financial help if they enroll in the Margin Protection Program, or MPP. And Vermont is ready to help with financial support for the farmers who sign up. The Margin Protection Program is a voluntary risk management program for dairy farmers. This federal program offers protection to dairy producers when the difference between the milk price and the average feed costs falls below a certain amount selected by the farmer. Put simply, it's the insurance for this sector. I'm pleased to have our congressional delegation here today with us, as the success of this program is due to their hard work. Significant changes were made this winter, thanks to the leadership of Senator Leahy, Senator Sanders, and Congressman Peter Welch, who couldn't be here today. Although we know this federal program may not fit every farmer, we encourage them to sit down, do the math, and consider whether the changes made could put dollars in their pockets. Because according to some economists, these changes could help our small and medium farms. To help support farmers with some of the costs of the program, my administration and legislative leaders allotted state dollars for the program. Working with the agricultural committees chaired by Senator Starr and Representative Partridge, Vermont is ready to invest $450,000 towards this program. These state dollars will help dairy farmers pay for the premiums in MPP. Every dairy farmer in Vermont could get support. This will be at least $660 or higher, depending on how many enroll before June 1. And through this program, could leverage thousands of dollars for these farmers if they enroll. Working closely with the USDA, our Agency of Agriculture, will help get payments to the farmers. This work at the state and federal level highlights how important dairy farmers are to our Vermont economy. More than 700 dairy farmers contribute $2.2 billion each year to Vermont's economy, and 6,000 to 7,000 jobs are tied to dairy, while creating more than $360 million in wages. Dairy farming is critical to our rural economy, producing quality milk for New England and New York, but it's under stress now for the fourth straight year, so it's putting many farms at risk. This partnership between USDA and Vermont could help get many farmers through this difficult period. That's why it's really important that they sign up by June 1. We hope all farmers will contact their farm agency, services agency in the coming days to see if this program will work for them. Again, my thanks to our congressional delegation and all those in the Vermont legislature, including the budget writers, who have said dairy is important to our state and worth investing in, and we believe that to be true. So at this point, I'd like to invite Senator Leahy to the podium.
Thank you, Governor. It's hard to add to what the governor said. He's absolutely right. This is not a political thing. We join together, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, state, federal government, because the message is clear. From USDA, you come in and sign up by Friday and you get paid. But I think also, as the governor implied, you either sign up or you're leaving money on the table. And we fought hard enough to get that money. I would hope it would not be left on the table. Our dairy farms and dairy farmers need it, but also Vermont needs it. USDA will start processing checks this Friday. Anybody who signs up by Friday will start getting checks probably by the end of next week. Any Vermont farm that does not enroll its first 5 million pounds in the MPP at the $8 margin level, they're going to be leaving money on the table. Other states might be glad to have it. This Vermonter would like to have it come here. We must get over the distrust hurdle with this program. This is a new and improved margin protection program. I fought very hard, both the Agriculture Committee and the Appropriations Committee, to remake MPP because of the complaints I heard directly from Vermont farmers. I heard this at their homes and their businesses, and talking with them even on the street. And so I redesigned it to help our small and medium-sized dairy farms. We did this in the appropriations bill, and now we're ahead of the farm bill where we'll want to duplicate it. We made the new MPP more responsive to the market. We cut premiums by 70% to make it more affordable. Vermont farmers can get top coverage for just 14.2 cents a hundredweight, less than the 15-cent checkoff promotion fees. I don't want them to leave money on the table. If you have 50 cows or 1,000 cows, a conventional farm or an organic one, enroll your first 5 million pounds. Enroll them at the top $8 margin level. And the payments will more than cover your cost of premiums. Premiums which are not due until September. So I think it's a win-win process for us. And I want to be able to show the Senate, and I know Senator Sanders does, and I know Congressman Welch feels that way in the House. We want to show how well it worked in Vermont because we want to continue this program for Vermont and the country. Thank you. And Governor, thank you for having this.
Thank you very much for coming. Now I have Senator Bernie Sanders come up to the podium. Thank you, Senator Sanders.
Thanks, Governor. There's not a whole lot that I can add to what the Governor and Senator Leahy have said, other than to say what I think everybody knows, in that dairy is the backbone of Vermont agriculture. It is a vital part of our history, our rural culture. It is an important factor in the success of our tourist industry and remains in itself a key part of our economy, contributing $2.2 billion annually while sustaining between 6,000 and 7,000 jobs. And yet, as we all know and why we're here today, the dairy industry is in deep trouble. In 2009, Vermont had 1,026 dairy farms. Today, there are just 730. In other words, nearly 300 dairy farms have gone out of business in the last decade. And what's happening now to Vermont dairy should be of concern not only to farmers, but to everybody in the state of Vermont. The people who are farming are our neighbors, they are our friends, and they work harder than almost anybody I know. They create jobs, they produce quality agricultural products, and they help maintain the beauty and iconic landscapes that define rural Vermont. These farmers deserve to earn a decent price for their milk and to live at a level of dignity and security, which they now don't have. Unfortunately, for too many Vermont farmers, it is harder and harder to maintain the farm, and too many are forced out of business. Our job is to work together across partisan lines between the federal government and work with the state government to make improvements short-term and long-term to maintain dairy farming in the state of Vermont throughout this country. And to my mind, what we have today, and the governor and Anson and Senator Leahy have indicated it, is a program that could be of help to dairy farmers in the state of Vermont. And it's important that they take a look at the program, do the math, and find out if it works for them. And the reason that we are here today is we're facing a deadline. Some of us would like to see the deadline extended, and I hope we can. But if we can't, that deadline is the end of this month, in just a few days. So I would urge farmers in the state of Vermont to get in touch with their local FSA office to determine whether the changes in the MPP can help their farms. And let me also say a word of thanks to the legislature and to the governor for pledging up to $450,000 of state money to help farmers afford the MPP program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senators. Thank you, Governor. We're happy to take questions now, all things dairy.
What's the percentage of Vermont farmers that have signed up already?
As of last Tuesday, about a third had registered. Of course, we've had a good stretch of weather, so a lot of people are going to be doing this, during the evening hours after a full day's work and so forth. But right now, we've only had about a third, so that's why we need to have the big push by Friday to get people enrolled.
Do you think people are leery from sort of the experience of the last time where the program didn't really act as any kind of safety net because of the levels that were set?
That could be, but we're just saying, look, take a look at this. Really push the pencil. Don't look at the past. Look at the future. Some economists have looked at this, and you can do the math on this. A lot of stuff can be done already, and you can see possibility of a return on it. So I think our message is, don't forget about Friday. Really look at it. It could help your farm.
The $450,000 was in the budget. That's been vetoed. How does the money get to
That's not an area that we disagree on. Really, the budget that I vetoed is really about the $33 million. But the other areas, we've somewhat agreed. We're going to let that continue, and this is an area that's important to all of us. So I don't expect we have any problem with that.
But you still need a budget, fine.
But we won't need the money until September. So
you're telling farmers, count on that being in the final budget?
we will make sure that holds true.
I think the Senator, like you said, or a lot of people said, do the math, as if it won't be advantageous for everyone. How many of the 730 do you think would benefit? They do the math. I mean,
Well, we have 30 odd big farms, but there's a separate program set up for them where they can get money through VITA, and we did put money in besides the 450, another 300,000 to buy down interest rates for the big guys that won't qualify. So if you take those away from the 700 and some odd, it still leaves 600 and some odd farmers that could just as well sign up, qualify, and receive $7,000, $8,000 to $9,000 from this program. And the numbers are there. If they'll just go to their FSA office, they'll even help them figure this out. And thanks to our federal senators, Leahy and Sanders and Peter Welch, this program actually will work for farmers now rather than just take from them and not get anything back. So it's really getting back their own money that they paid in a couple of years ago. So it's very important, though, that they get there and sign up by Friday. Very important.
is that $7,000, $8,000, $9,000? That's it? Is that going to make much of a difference to farmers?
Well, if you're losing money every day, 10 grand at this time of the year, when you have to buy seeds, fertilizer, fuel for your equipment, it could very well make the difference between getting crops in the ground and having feed next winter, or not putting crops in the ground and selling out come fall. And, you know, we've already lost too many farms already, and our rural economy is really hurting because of that. And it's all you have to do is drive through any small rural community and you see stores closing and even, you know, it's gotten to the point where we're losing children in our schools, and even churches are having a hard time. And it's our rural economy and our dairy economy that keeps that all going. So, you know, it's very important to the state of Vermont as well as southern New England, which buys all these products from us. And the beauty of that $2.2 billion that Senator Leahy talked about, I believe, or the governor, is that's brand new money. It's money that we never had in Vermont that comes here, so it multiplies. Whereas if we just pass money amongst ourselves, at the end of the day, we haven't got any new money. We just got what we had when we started, just different people have it. But with this new money coming in from southern New England, and you divide that up, it really makes a major difference.
Is this going to save some Vermont farmers this year?
I would hope so. You know, it should change their attitude. You know, it's been rough for 4 years, and maybe, you know, if we'd have done this last year, it wouldn't have mattered because Senator Leahy and Sanders and Welch hadn't got the program changed. But with that change that they made, especially Senator Leahy in the budget bill, made it so this program is a big benefit to our local farmers.
And if you
So if I could just say a word on this. To answer your first question, I don't think anybody thinks this is the end-all of what we have to do. And I don't want to get into a whole other issue, but I think there is a lot of agreement in the state of Vermont that long-term we have to move to supply management, that the never-ending crisis of dairy as prices go up, people overproduce, prices then drop significantly. And somehow or another, which is not easy, I know Senator Leahy and I and others, everybody has been working on this issue for a long time. But the idea of moving toward supply management and controlling the amount of milk that's being produced so that farmers can continue to get a steady and stable and a decent price for their product is something I think we've got to continue working on.
And if you sign up by Friday and you qualify, how fast can you get the $10,000 that Senator Stark promised you?
I think they said, well, this is the end of this week, they're going to start in June. The USDA was going to start, if you had already enrolled, they're going to start cutting checks in June.
They've got the money. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep,
Thank you.